dope on it.
My class yesterday.
She's such a great fan. I put it on your, no, I put it on your desk before, so it's extra.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Any glasses?
I've got readers if you need readers.
I'm in my car, I think we'll get them.
Toughest decision ever made.
So they don't have an hour, so she is down the hall, but I don't know. 5 minutes.
That is fun. That's impressive. Today. I know, it's just so hard. Two more days, 3 days in Cincinnati. All of the opinions and the other side and all of this. I thought it was great. You ever gone to Fair Fields? Yeah. And I do have one coming up from the state parade.
Drive back from Boyne City, camping in Boyne City.
That'll
These
be
are across the street from my house, and I'm an hour and a half away. Get a break.
Dave, you remember last month, there was, the fire department group, looking toward
It's all- Yeah.
You remember saying that one?
Yeah, in 6:30, right?
I don't remember, she said the bid may say up to 2 times, if pay extra or whatever, but we talked about at least one.
Did we talk about one person? I thought you said 2 times.
But at one point, we thought we had 2 public
Yeah.
get-togethers, but that wasn't set in stone, it was just some one person's idea.
Okay, well, the minutes here show, we were gonna pay $25.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing?
per
All right, how are you?
person.
Good.
If we have 2 people and we do it twice, we're looking at $20,000.
I think that's how it was written in the contract.
Yeah, the contract read that way.
It just says, should the township receive additional support?
And we
Wasn't
can,
even something
and we
more
can,
than-
well, I think we put it in the motion because we wanted them to come in and talk to us
At least
at
one.
least one time. And I think did you get see the email where they want to come in?
Well, I think they included one in there, and additionals were out of our.
Well, it was all out of that, but I just wanted to make sure that we get.
But we can, you know, we can
Are you, sir?
determine how many we want.
Okay, Paul. How you doing?
Could be.
Good yourself. Looks like the same guy
What we have in front of you is, there was a couple of the resolutions that Pat asked if I would make a couple changes on. We just added the budget is the budget is a clean budget today that we, basically the same that you looked at, is a little bit extra.
Why are you doing that?
Are you guys gonna play later?
Yeah.
Are you gonna play this too?
Play later. Play what?
Are you gonna play later? No. Or just hanging out?
Depends on what the fingers are, whatever. Goes by the fingers.
I'm
Here, they'll go past it.
I know.
Did you check with the chamber on that?
Here's important. Play longer, yeah.
Yeah, I think we started here.
Karen, do you guys want an agenda so you can follow along?
That'd be nice. Thanks very much.
At 6 o'clock, we're calling meeting the order of the Green Lake Township Board of Trustees on June 13th, 2016. Judy, can you do roll call, please?
McDonald,
Here.
Schroeder,
Here.
West,
Yeah.
Viganowski,
Here.
Radke,
Here.
Kramer here, Biondo.
Here. We'll all rise and face the flag with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, approval of the agenda, first item on there, is there any additions?
I'd like to make an addition, if I could, to add to new business at the end, proposed school lease option.
Okay, underneath the rural fire representative, there's a school lease. Anything else? Motion?
Move to approve the budget as presented with the addition of proposed school lease option under new business.
I shall support that.
Okay.
Motion made, seconded, any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say no, carried. Consent agenda, we have the minutes of May 9th, 2016, the treasurer's report and bills. Anyone like anything in the week?
What, the treasurer's report is, what's it saying? Check register report?
Oh, it says, by name, 2 pages.
Cash
Cash
summary by
summary.
account?
You got it? Yeah, summary.
I'd like to make a correction on the minutes. It might just be a printing error, but it's on page 2. At the very bottom of the page, it starts the paragraph out, move Radke, support Viganowski resolution 05092016.3. And if you go to page 3, under where it says new business continued, it starts it all over again.
So it appears to be in there twice.
Yeah, there's only half of it. and it starts at 4.
Which one would you like to read?
Oh, it has to be the second one, because the first one's only halfway complete. So you have to scratch out the,
On page 3?
on page 2, you have to scratch out the 2 lines. And then on page 3, after the new business continued, then that's the full motion.
Okay, anything else? Any other comments or questions about consent agenda? There'll be a motion to the packet.
I move to approve the consent agenda with corrections noted of the minutes of May 9th, 2016.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. By roll call, please.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Radke,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Kramer, yes, Biondo.
Yes, carried. Reports. Mike Stenson is here. Gonna give a report. Okay, Dawn? Fire EMS? Thank you, Dawn.
Hi, everyone. Do any of you, did you have any questions on what was sent to you this time for the month of May? We had a total of 38 calls in the month of May. 7 of those were lip assist. That was the highest of our call volume. You had requested, a breakdown of different calls that we had had, and that was one of the highest ones, and then altered mental status was the second. In the May report, we had 2 medical training evenings, and one of those nights involved we had State Trooper Chris come in. She with the K-9 dog, and so she did a little bit of activity, putting drugs around, and showed us how the dogs go and sniff out. And there are different type of dogs for different things that they use for lost folks. Dead folks that they're looking for, and then also for drugs. So I think there was like 6 or 7 categories with that. Then the next one that we had John Holgrove come in from Munson. He is employed by Munson Healthcare, and he is our head tech there. And went through some scenarios with some active shooter presentation for us. Kind of brought us up to speed with that. Tomorrow is the next medical control meeting for Regional 7 for our area that I'll be attending tomorrow. So that's what's been going on in our world, in our neck of the woods.
Thank you, Dawn. Any questions before we comments from the public? Fire EMS? Well, thank you. Good work. Fairfield County Road Commission?
Thank you, Paul. Big news coming out of the state. We got $880,000, give or take, dollars for some high maintenance or high risk rural road projects, safety. We want to take care of some major road issues in Hobbs Highway, County Road 633, Garfield and Cedar Run, that are going to take care of some of the guardrails and other safety issues that are addressed that are on those roads. Still working through the Peninsula Drainage District. It's been a really big learning experience for everyone involved, from the township to the drain commissioner and at the road commission level, as far as different ways that you can take care of drainage issues to protect the assets and the citizens' properties as well. One of the big things coming out that's going to affect the townships is we're going to do some deposits for cost estimates. If we want to do a joint project with the road commission, it's going to be a $1,000 deposit. The project's done, you're going to get that $1,000 back. If the project doesn't go through, you decide not to do it, we're going to return $500 of that $1,000. That doesn't cover the cost of our engineers to sit down and figure out the cost for you. But we're hoping that we're going to get some skin in the game from the township, so that we're going to get more of the projects done, rather than just estimating a bunch of work for townships that decide not to do projects. We approved a contract for our road manager. Mr. Cook now is operating under a contract. It's a 3-year contract. He hasn't had a contract the whole time he's worked for us. He's been at will, and we've decided that we need to make sure that he's got a little bit of security with us. He's been doing a great job, and I was shocked when I got on the commission to find out he didn't have a contract. So we had to get him a contract to make sure we've got some good leadership on the road commission for the next couple of years. Any questions?
I just, you give the guy a contract, it's a guaranteed job. Michigan's an at-will state. So what did you do with a contract?
There's some, if he's let go without reason, you know, we decide that we don't want to have him on anymore, there's some financial, the golden parachute, if you will, but it's not anything real significant.
Just give me- okay.
Any other questions?
What improvements on County Road 633 are you looking at?
I don't have the list of projects in front of me right now, I just know we're doing some work on 633. The high ridge areas is a big thing that they're looking at with guardrails, and I can't remember the other one, I'm sorry. I can get back to you if you like, Mr. Radke.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I think that concludes all these things. Public comment? Anybody like to comment? Yes.
I have good news.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Hi.
that's okay. We have good
Pat
news.
Thompson,
Library.
President of the Library.
We got a $250,000 grant a couple weeks ago, and the good news is it's pushed us over $2 million. So we're sitting at 2.1, 2 years, it's amazing. So we only have 400,000 more to go. So if anybody'd like to contribute, we're taking it. Any questions about the library?
Any questions?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Pat.
Paul, has public comment?
Oh, yes, public comment, I'm sorry. Yes.
As most of you know, I've been campaigning to run for supervisor. Oh, Andy Merrick, 2875 East Railroad Avenue. And during that process, I've been going out and taking pictures of different businesses and different assets around the community and found some issues at our park. Since I posted a video and some pictures on the park, I've had a lot of people in the community and outside of the community reach out to me and want to help do some community service work to help bring the park back up to snuff. I don't know what needs to be done on my part to get approval to do anything, because I don't know if you guys have plans in the works to take care of stuff. Unfortunately, because of the Cherry Festival, I agreed to do a bunch of work with them and to build some stuff for the kids club. So after the Cherry Festival, I was hoping to put together a work fee with the people who come out to me, including electricians that want to take care of some of the electrical issues there. If you can get me some information on what I need to do to get approval from the township to make alterations to our park, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Paul.
Yes.
Tim Trudeau, 3076 Bowerman Road, Kingsley, the chair of the Rural Fire Board, Paradise Township supervisor also. I just wanted to respond a little bit to the rural fire meeting after some of the, I don't know what you want to call it, lack of communication for better terms. I made a statement that I wasn't trusting of what Green Lake Township was doing, and I still stand by that, and I know Mr. Beganowski retorted that. But if you look at it from what the Rural Fire Board received from Green Lake Township, whoever the representative was at that time, was no communication. We had no clue that Green Lake Township was looking at a consultant to look at their fire service or their EMS service over here. I sent out an email on April 4th asking for information, and all I got back from was a response from Mr. Biondo was, I'll be at the meeting on April 20th, I think it was, which was the consultant. This is what I'm talking about, Dave, when I said I didn't have any communication. Then you guys turn around and say on March 20th you sent out an RFP. Why was the rural board never informed of this RFP? That's what we're getting at. We have no communication from Green Lake Township as to what is going on. Are you guys going out on your own? Are you hiring a consultant? You hired the consultant that the rural board paid for their time, travel, and expenses to get here and didn't say a word to rural about it. That's why we're saying there's a lack of communication. If it would have been brought out and said, hey, can we have these consultants, can we talk to them too? Okay, I get it, I like that. But there was something that just didn't sit right with me. You've seen the emails? You've read the emails.
I've seen the timeline that Dave did, and I thought it was very accurate. I mean, you know, a lot of things happened both at rural and at Green Lake, and they just seem to overlap as far as the RFPs and no responses on the rural side for some, so we went the other way. I'm sorry, rural fire went the way to have the consultants come in.
Right.
They happen to be the only one ones that responded to us.
Well, like I said, I just want to say that there has been a severe lack of communication. I don't know if it's going to improve from here on out. I would like it to. If there's improvements that need to be made on the rural side, we will do so also. We don't want to lose Green Lake Township. We don't. You guys are an asset to rural. You think about it, you're the highest paying in the township right now, second to Paradise. Or I should say Paradise is second to Green Lake. We don't want to lose you, but we've got to communicate.
Well, as far as going out for RFPs, that was an overlapping issue. What other issues?
Well, it just seems like when we find out about things, we're finding out through the grapevine. I mean, the only reason we found out about you guys talking to these consultants was because Chief Weber heard about it from the consultant, not from Green Lake Township. Why would you guys not say something to us?
Well, I think there were just some emails and phone calls that they made.
I thought the chief knew everything that I knew. He might not have passed it up to you, but
He's,
at the time we were actually close friends.
yeah, I mean, you were communicating with Chief Weber, and, you know, I mean, there is that, I guess, too.
Right. But anyways, like I said, I don't want to take up a bunch of time. I just wanted to tell you where I stood and why I made the comments that I did about, you know, not being trustworthy, and I can't trust anything that I hear coming out of Green Lake Township. The reason being is because of the lack of communication. I just think if we can improve on that, we can move forward and we can be one very healthy organization. Thank you.
Any other comments? Comments on correspondence?
Moving correspondence. I did hand out to everybody an email that I had gotten from Leslie. I think we maybe need to table that until the next meeting. I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. Maybe table it till the next meeting.
What's the topic?
It's the request for proposal for Interlochen Village Governmental Center design plan.
Yes. Boy,
We don't have to postpone it.
get moving on.
Or at least,
I mean, we don't have to do any action on it.
just bring it up at next
Put it on
meeting.
next week, month's agenda.
Because you guys are just getting this.
Okay, so yeah, you all just got this, but maybe you take a read at it in a workshop or something. Bring up the issue. Either that, we'll put it on.
Just deciding whether to send out a RFP.
Leslie, I'm
Let's
sorry.
go back.
any-
You said we'd have a meeting on it, a special board meeting on it.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so it would be appropriate to postpone it, but, you know, next time we put it.
Right, we don't do anything on it right now, but I would like to discuss it when I started.
And it's on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is.
Third item under new business.
Second page.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Guess I'm a little more efficient than I thought.
Well, we'll wait till we get that spot.
Sorry
There's a
about
lot of things on this agenda, so we've overlooked that. But we made it all the way to old business, just because it's business we talked about before. And the personnel policy, Karen Keemon is here, who you're familiar with. He is working with us on updating some personnel policies. I'm sorry, here's and Kelly.
Kelly Lloyd and myself, hello everybody. I was here once before and we talked about personnel policies and some changes. And we worked through a number of them. I've got copies of the new employee handbook, which you guys can take when you're leaving. If you have any questions in particular about any of them, please call me and I'll be glad to elaborate on it. But the purpose of having the personnel policies was to have set a really good tone for all employees, a very positive tone about Green Lake. Also to tell everybody that the expectations for their conduct was the same. In other words, conflicts of interest are inappropriate, discrimination of any kind is inappropriate. Our pay policies, there's even a dress code in here. I mean, there's some things that are just intended to make sure everybody knows what the rules are. They are subject to change as necessary and subject to change as the law changes, because there are a couple of things that are related to legal issues per se, but not that many, you just have to say them. I'm gonna be meeting tomorrow with the employees and going through the handbook with them and actually conducting a session on not just the handbook contents, but also on diversity issues. And part of the reason I'm doing that is not only is it a relevant subject today, but just like the handbook protects you guys from litigation because it gives clear expectations, almost everybody who is a sophisticated employer, as you guys are, does some level of diversity training with their employees. Because they want to make sure employees get their questions answered, and they also want to make sure that employees anticipate how to behave correctly. One of the biggest problems that we have, and I experience, is people getting treated on the basis of their stereotype. In other words, if I made the same mistake myself, I got really, think I would never make mistakes. This is my business, not to make mistakes, but I was explaining how stereotypes can be a problem, and I said, you know, one of the stereotypes there is that Orientals are too small to be effective soldiers. Now, and so, because they're small people, generally speaking. So somebody put their hand up in the room and they said, how could you say that? They're not Orientals, they're Asians. I was mortified, because the plane of diversity changes as the time goes. And I'm obviously a relic of the past, and Oriental is a rug. It's not a person. But, so, if I can be caught up making these kind of mistakes, I'm sure that all of us make those kind of mistakes. And I also want to have people here get from me the fact that it's a very forgiving environment. As long as we're learning and going on the right path together, nobody's expected to be in lockstep with their thinking all the time. But at least this will hopefully set some minimal standards. I'm going to be asking people to sign up for their handbook, which is going to have another at-will kind of document, which is in plain English. As you know, you guys are at-will employers, but of course you still have to have reasons why you separate people, and they don't have to be, you can be just tired of them, but it can't be a discriminatory reason. So what we're trying to do is make sure everybody understands that. They're also going to be signing a document that makes it clear that they will consent to have drug and alcohol testing under the appropriate circumstances, accidents, people appearing impaired, and so forth. And the drug and alcohol policy has been updated to include a reference to medical marijuana, which is, of course, a big challenge for employers because you want a drug-free workplace, and yet some people are saying, but I have a prescription for this. So I'm happy to talk with you at length about that, but we are addressing the issue that, you know, no one could ever be impaired when they're working here, regardless of what kind of prescription they have. They can have a prescription for penicillin, and if it impaired them, they shouldn't be working. So this is, I'm going to spend some time talking with folks about that and make sure that they understand that if they're impaired, they are going to be drug and alcohol tested, so that they behave safely and that they can treat the residents in a safe manner. There also is in their packet an alternate dispute resolution policy. It's kind of a long collection, but what it is it is a mandatory mediation policy. If someone has a big dispute about something on their job, or if they've been terminated, this allows them to request that their concern be mediated by a professional. It doesn't preclude them from going and filing a lawsuit. It doesn't guarantee a result, but what it does is it's a way that people know that they're not going to be treated arbitrarily, and if they think they're being treated arbitrarily, they can have a way to resolve it without having to file some kind of lawsuit, EEOC charge, or other kind of activity. In my experience, these are very effective, because number one, they discourage people just whining about things. You're serious, if it's a serious issue, and then you guys can take it seriously. because of course your views will be the other side. So I know it will be interesting with the employees to explain this to them, and I think actually they're gonna like it very much. Because it doesn't require they do anything, it just says, we're willing to take a hard look if there's a serious dispute, we don't want it to get out of control. Of course, it's bad for my business, I really wanna have big disputes, or I have lots of big challenges. But, so, in addition, last but not least, in an effort to try to get people to realize that you have an even-handed workplace, there is a copy of a complaint form that's being given to all the employees. Why would you give people complaint forms? They're gonna fill them out and complain. No, well, actually, the fact of the matter is, very few people actually fill them out. But it does help them if they're trying to talk to their supervisor, their boss, or any of you, to figure out what kind of an issue they have. And so it helps to focus them on a concern. And the other thing is, if they would happen to file a lawsuit, and they hadn't sat down to talk with you guys about the complaint, we have a very good legal defense in Michigan if people do not use a legitimate complaint procedure. And so, in other words, if an employer has a complaint form that's available, they have a mediation process that's available, and somebody goes completely outside that, it's a legal defense for you to say, we should not have to be in court when these things could have worked first. And the courts will usually give you very favorable treatment. So this is a legal defense, but it also shows employees that there can be personality difficulties, there can be this, there can be that. And we want to get these things resolved because they have an important job to do in serving the community, just like you do, and hopefully this will help to resolve their concerns. So I could go through the whole table of contents, but I think the people behind me would probably just as soon not do that. But they are all pretty standard things. We've got lots of copies, so I'll just put them up there by your desk, Judy. And tomorrow afternoon, any of you are welcome to come to the training session. You have some questions?
Well, this is for Paul. I know we've got one left, I think, it isn't at will. I think we've got one. And something like this, shouldn't the board read it all first?
Yeah, the sequence is all out of whack. That's not our employee policy, because we adopted. We shouldn't be no training tomorrow.
Okay.
We haven't adopted it. We haven't even looked at it. I didn't even know it was done, actually, until just 10 minutes ago. So, and I'm not sure I want to give employees diversity training. I want to see what their diversity training is all about. The sequence is backwards. We need to approve the policy before the employees have training in the policy. I'm not going to approve anything I haven't seen.
And, I'm sorry, did that, your question again?
That was the question. I thought the board should read that first